Hey, what's up, y'all? Today we're going to be talking about Terrifier 3. What a great time to be a horror fan. How often do you find yourself in the middle of a classic slasher franchise that is unfolding right before our eyes? And I'm happy to see it. I was lucky enough to grab the advance tickets for the Thursday showing before they sold out. And as you know, I absolutely love the Terrifier franchise and anything to do with Art the Clown. And for me, if Damien Leone keeps dropping absolute bangers, then this is probably going to be my favorite franchise of all time. So of course, this was and has been my most anticipated movie of the year, and I was super excited to check it out. So how I'm going to do this is first have a spoiler-free review where I just talk about some things I liked and tell those of you who have not seen it to go watch it ASAP. And after that, there will be some spoilers as I break down the movie and discuss some theories and what we expect for Terrifier 4. The breakdown is specifically for those who have already seen it and just to talk about what I expect for this franchise and the future it holds. And I'll let y'all know when the spoilers are coming, so let's get right into it. So coming into this, what I expected was, a lot of blood, gore, carnage, of course, but also a deep dive into the lore of Art the Clown himself, the little girl also, and Victoria. And I wanted to figure out what they are, because obviously they're not human, so what exactly are they? Also, I wanted to learn more into what happened to Sienna and Jonathan's dad, and how he relates to them, and how he relates to Art the Clown, and how that connects with Sienna. I want to know how Sienna was chosen, and how and why her sword is the only way to take down Art and his companions. We get an answer to some of these questions, and more lore is created and explored, but there are still many questions, but you get enough to where you aren't just sitting there confused. And I'm definitely fine with that, because that means more Terrifier movies, of course. I love the introduction of Gabby here as Sienna's cousin, as she helps drive the concept of Sienna having just something different about her. She's a star and has such a powerful soul that attracts those around her, like Gabby, who really looks up to her. Also, this may be the reason for Art's obsession with Sienna and the reason for hunting her. But we never really get that answer. The opening scene here is absolutely brutal, and one that will end up being one of the most memorable opening scenes of all time, in my opinion. Art is in a Santa suit in the house of a happy family with 2 kids and an axe. That's all I'm gonna say about that. Speaking of Christmas, the bright colors are amazing, and the atmosphere created for the Christmas season is done amazing here, and really kind of feels vintage in a lot of ways, with the Christmas figurines out on the table, and later when Art takes over as a clown in the mall and he takes pictures with the kids. Like, do they even do that anymore? I don't know, but when I was young, that was what all the kids loved to do, and they did a great job at reuniting that memory for us. But hey, I'd take a seat on Art's lap. Come on now. David Howard Thornton does just an immaculate job here in this movie, but I'm so serious when I tell you he deserves an Oscar for this performance. He keeps getting better and better at playing Art the Clown, and has a very unique way of using his facial expressions to show and say exactly what's on Art's mind, but without uttering a single sound. He just does such a great job at both being terrifying and funny as fuck. I was literally dying in my seat in a lot of these scenes, especially when Art first meets Santa. It is just the funniest thing I've seen in years. It is just instantly a classic and one of my favorite scenes that I've ever seen. Ever. The whole movie had me laughing so much, I pretty much was just like sitting there with a smile on my face even when things started to get very gory and bloody and dark, because I was still laughing my ass off from the scenes before it. Like, I'm just sitting there watching people get absolutely massacred, and I'm just smiling. The people around me were probably looking over like, yo, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? He's got some fucking issues. But it really comes without saying that a Terrifier movie brings the gore. But man, they brought it. For those of you that were hoping for a similar bedroom scene or one that tops it, here you got it, with this movie having what they're calling the shower scene. You'll know what I'm talking about when you get there. I'm not going to say it exactly tops the bedroom scene, but it definitely comes close at the least. it's for sure up there. There's also some lore here hinted at with Sienna, and we get flashbacks to her and her dad when they were younger, which show us how the costume from last movie and the sword came about, and also what made her into the absolute badass that she is in these movies. So if you were wondering, yes, of course Sienna is an absolute GOAT in this movie once again, and Lauren Levera does a fabulous job in this role. But anyways, other than the flashbacks we get, there's really not a lot of new info on her dad. So originally, I didn't like the ending to this movie. It felt rushed, and there was a few characters which kind of just got killed quickly, and I'm not going to say which, of course, but that doesn't seem right for a Terrifier movie. But now, knowing what I know now and really thinking about it, I really do like the ending. I think it's good. I think it leaves some good questions for us, and it's going to set up a great Terrifier 4. And I think all those questions are going to be answered. So I do like the ending now. I just had to think about how to sit on it. It's cool with me now. So overall, I absolutely love this movie, and I think it is a great addition to the franchise that uses characteristics from the 2 movies before it to blend together a perfect masterpiece. And I can't wait to see what comes in the future and what I suspect to be a Terrifier 4. Well, that's the end of my spoiler-free review. So if you have not seen the movie, please stop watching. There is about to be spoilers and you need to see it. Do not let it be spoiled for you. Like, I'm actually going to be mad if you keep watching and have not seen the movie. Go watch it, then come back to this video after. But anyways, don't say I didn't warn you. It's time for my breakdown and analysis of this movie in its entirety, with spoilers. The movie starts off with a bang as we see Art the Clown in a Santa Claus suit break into a home and absolutely massacre a family a few days before Christmas Eve. Yeah, that includes 2 very small children and their mom and dad. Absolutely brutal. And that's just 10 minutes in. Now we jump to 5 years earlier, where it continues from where Terrifier 2 ended. We see a headless Art murder a police officer, and then our question to where his head went is answered. Veronica Hayes has his head, and her and Art murder a guard, and then hop on the train where they see a man dressed as Art for Halloween. So off screen they kill him, and Art gets him a nice clean suit, as he and Veronica go into hibernation in an abandoned building. This here verifies any questions as to if Art and Veronica are an inhuman demonic force or not, with Art being headless and Veronica but not actually dying. Now back to the present. Sienna is being released from a psychiatric hospital to go live with her Aunt Jessica, Uncle Greg, and Cousin Gabby, who is obsessed with her, and they have a great connection here, which makes it feel like this relationship might be setting up a passing the torch from Sienna to Gabby in the future, because this little girl just adores Sienna and is very interested in her life and her past, which she initially does not know about. We see Sienna is still destroyed from what she has been through in her past and has extreme guilt, which causes her to have hallucinations of her friends blaming her for their death. On the other hand, we have Jonathan, who is also still struggling but more trying to forget his past, which is hard because he's in college with his roommate Cole, and he has a true crime obsessed girlfriend named Mia who has a podcast and is really dying for more info from Jonathan for her own good. She's an annoying character, but we see she's not evil. She's just oblivious to the trauma she brings back to the victims while digging for info. Back to Art now. So a bulldozing company of 2 guys comes in to inspect the abandoned building, and they discover Art and Veronica, which ends up waking them up out of their hibernation, and they brutally kill the 2 bulldozing men and then leave, ready for more carnage. Now for my favorite scene in any Terrifier movie, and it might be up there as one of my favorite scenes ever. We have Art very excited to see Santa in a bar, and David Howard Thornton does such a good job here. He had me laughing so hard in the theater, but not one word was said by him. This is where Art obtains his Santa Claus suit, as he kills everyone in the bar and then tortures the old man that was originally in the Santa Claus suit, and it is just brutal. And then he cruises on down to the mall, where Sienna sees him and freaks out. But she doesn't know if it was real or hallucination until she hears later on the news that many people were killed at the mall because of an explosion. And it was in fact Art who took over the mall Santa gig, taking pictures with the kids, and he also handed out presents. But one was an explosive, and that's what was on the news. So yes, Art handed a little kid a bomb as a Christmas gift. Who else but Art? Sienna panics when she sees it on the news, but no one in her family believes her. They all just think she is crazy and might have to go back to the psychiatric hospital. Something that I was hoping for in this film was to solve the mystery of Sienna's father and why he offed himself and how he connects Sienna to Art. And we get flashbacks of her father, but the answers to this aren't given. And what we really learn about is the bond that they had as a father-daughter duo and how her costume and sword from Terrifier 2 came about. He creates the character for Sienna, and the costume and sword is from that character. He says that this character is an angel and it can defeat any demon, which is most likely symbolizing that Sienna is an angel being who is the only one who can defeat the demon of Art. Because we know that Art and Victoria are vessels, which this demon lives through, and previously the little pale girl, who was a vessel, but we don't see her in this movie, and there are questions about her as well, but no answers as of right now. But my guess for her is that the demon that used her as a vessel moved on to Victoria. Sienna then goes to visit Jonathan, and his roommate's girlfriend Mia tries her hardest to get Sienna on her podcast and absolutely fangirls over her, which leads to Sienna losing it and yelling at her, which once again shows that Mia is not evil, but just oblivious to how insensitive she is. Even though it was deserved, Jonathan is still mad at Sienna for this and says how she needs to get over what happened. So it kind of seems to me that Jonathan is in more of a denial state about Art being back than anything else, as we see later when he has a breakdown in his dorm room. But at a party later that night, Mia and Cole are talking when we learn just how obsessed Mia is with Art and how she wants to be in his presence and look into his eyes. Yeah, you got that, Mia. That's all you. You got that all by yourself. Ain't nobody want to join you on that. But Art is listening in the hallway as they have this conversation, and they don't know about it, and he's taking notes. And this is just another scene where Art had me dying laughing in the theater. It's just so funny to see him out there listening and just having a good time with himself, man. David Howard Thornton, just give that man an Oscar, dude. The laughter soon turns into shock, though, because later the two go to take a shower together, and they get a visit from Art himself, wearing another pair of goofy glasses. And as you've probably already heard, this is the most brutal scene in the movie, and it either tops or competes with the bedroom scene. So Art grabs a chainsaw and kills Mia first by just absolutely decimating her skin. Like, she's almost as skinned as the girl in the bedroom scene, in all honesty. But Cole gets it worse, as he gets an ass full of chainsaw, and it's absolutely brutal, y'all. It's kind of like from the first Terrifier when the girl got cut from the cooter down, but it's kind of the opposite way in a guy on the backside, if you know what I'm saying. Oh, but Art makes it all okay because he made a snow angel after. Or I guess it was in the blood, so I don't know, but he made something. He made some art. Now back to the house, Sienna wakes up tied to a chair across from her Aunt Jessica with Art and Victoria, showing her that her uncle is decapitated and hanging on the wall. Also, there's a head on the table in front of them, which Art and Victoria let them know it's Gabby's head. Next, it's Aunt Jessica's turn to be made into Art. So he shoves a tube down her throat, and mind you, this tube is a wide tube, so she's getting like destroyed. Like she's bleeding, she's gushing blood. She's like almost already dead at this point when he gets this tube down her throat. And then Victoria grabs rats and puts them through the tube and lets them crawl into her, and they go in her stomach, and then they slit her throat and she dies. It is just yet another unforgettable, absolutely brutal Terrifier scene to add to the list. But Art and Victoria let Sienna know that the head isn't actually Gabby's, but it's Jonathan's, and that makes Sienna go all crazy, and we learn that the reason for Art killing everything Sienna loves is so that the demon or entity can use Sienna as a vessel, as it sees her as a very powerful being, and when she lets her guard down and she gives up and has nothing to live for, then that's when they can possess her and take her over. They then bring out Gabby, and she convinces Art and Victoria to let Sienna open the gift that she got for her, and Art cuts her free by smashing her hands, and we see her open the gift, and it's her iconic sword, which she then uses to kill Victoria and then wound Art, but not quite finish him off. But while Victoria is dying, Her blood melts away the floor and opens up some sort of portal which sucks Gabby in, and Sienna is unable to save her from wherever it goes, probably another dimension. The movie ends with Art as he escapes out of the window to catch a bus which some lady is reading the ninth circle on. So that's a pretty cool Easter egg there, unless it's not an Easter egg and it all connects, which would be kind of sick, but we won't know any answers to that until Terrifier 4. But for Sienna, we see her wounds healing at the end, which raises questions to the cliffhanger ending. Has she been possessed and is now immortal just like Art and Victoria? Or is she healing because Victoria was destroyed and Art left? Or is she healing because she's an angel and her true soul, her true spirit of she's not human, she's an angel and is able to heal? Is that truth finally coming out here? We don't know. There is obviously going to be another movie that answers a lot of the questions we have, but from what we can tell right now, Art and Victoria are demons that are wreaking havoc on the world, and Sienna is an angel that can stop it, so Art and Victoria must possess her, or they will never be able to fully take over the world. Her dad may have created this, or he may have visioned it as some sort of future teller skill, but we don't know yet. And there are many theories to what will happen next, so I'm going to discuss a few of them. The first being that Jonathan is not actually dead, and they were just trying to tear down Sienna to possess her. And I believe this one, as I definitely feel Jonathan's death would be shown on screen, as Terrifier is just a movie that likes to show its death, and with a very important character, I feel they would have to put him on the big screen if they're going to kill him. Another being that Art was originally just a human serial killer, but was then possessed by a more evil entity which is using his body to torment people on the way to the goal of taking over Sienna. And I don't think I believe that one, because as we see, even in All Hallows Eve, Art had the glowing eyes, and Art was some sort of a entity because he was able to play on the fact that he was in the DVD and then he was able to come into real life and then be a real problem in real life, but he was on the DVD at first. He like crossed dimensions from being on TV to being in real life, so obviously a human wouldn't be able to do that, so I don't know if I believe this theory, but we'll see. And lastly, the most crazy one being that Sienna's dad is Art the Clown. I've been hearing this one going around, but I don't believe it. I think that maybe he created him, but I do not think he is him. At this point, I'm just blown away by what Damien Leone has shown us, and I trust wherever he is going to go in the future with these movies, and I'm already waiting for Terrifier 4. Please let me know y'all thoughts on Terrifier 3 down in the comments below. Let me know y'all theories and what you think will happen next and what you hope to see next. Please drop a like and hit that subscribe button, or Art will be at your town's mall. Thank you so much for watching, and have a blessed day.